Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast and/or Season 2, Episodes 10, 11, 12, Spoiler React for the very last time ever. My name is David.
And Craig 5 standing by.
And before we get started, we definitely want to thank all of our awesome top-tier Patreon supporters out there, starting with Liam McCallion, Kevin Lanninger, Deb McCaffrey, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Adam Haber, Front Row King, Cam from Indiana, Mariana Atia Arnold, Rest Jedi 27, and Alex Blendell. Thank you so much for your awesome love and support out there. Also, LegionSabers.com. If you need a lightsaber, check them out. Use the code STUFF at checkout and get 15% off.
Who doesn't need a lightsaber?
I know. As you can see right behind me, I have a few
Nice.
in the corner there. I think 3 of them are Legion Sabers. Wow, what a finale! What an emotional roller coaster Tony Gilroy put us through, and crew.
Yeah.
Where do you rank this, Craig? We've seen every episode of Andor now. Where do you rank this in the pantheon of Star Wars
For
film and TV live action?
Okay. So we're talking like personal rankings. I'm not going to say critically, right? Obviously,
Give us both. Give us both.
Original trilogy is still my favorite, obviously.
Right.
I guess I would say the prequel trilogy because, of what it was. And then Mandalorian season 2, and then this. I still love Mandalorian season 2 more. I'm not saying it's a better show, but because it had Luke and Ahsoka and Boba Fett and Bo-Katan, I love it. This is brilliant writing, brilliant acting, brilliant editing, brilliant in every way. It still feels a little bit more like a spy show than a Star Wars show, but I'm not knocking it. I love it. But Star Warsy, because I watch Star Wars with my daughter. She likes to watch it with me. I can't watch this with her. She won't understand what's going on.
Right.
She's only 7 years old. This is too complicated.
What's the minimum age you think is appropriate for someone to watch Andor?
Well, I've watched season 1 with my niece, and she's 18, and she likes it. She gets it, but I think it's still one of those things that's like you have to really pay attention to the details, or you're gonna get lost real fast. So I'd say like 18 is. I mean, you could probably try a little bit younger, and if you watch each episode a few times, you'll get there and you'll get it. But it's a sharp show, and the details are just brilliant.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. Me personally, my rankings are still, of course, the original trilogy.
Last Jedi.
I want to say Rogue One, definitely.
I forgot about Rogue One. Yeah, Rogue One is great.
It just gets better every time I watch it. I watched it back on the plane coming back from Japan, sitting behind Hayden Christensen in first class there. And I didn't fall asleep. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, man, this is... It does that weird thing where it just keeps on getting better somehow. The first time I watched it, I was like, man, this movie isn't a good movie. It's a good Star Wars movie, but it's not a good movie. If that makes any sense. But the more I watch it, the more it becomes a better movie, the more it becomes a better Star Wars movie. But yeah, I want to say original trilogy, Rogue One and Mandalorian season 1, season 2 are right there neck and neck. Andor's difficult for me because Andor is a very, very different flavor of Star Wars. Andor is, of course, for grown-ups. It's not for 12-year-olds like we've agreed on. It's real-world Star Wars, as real-world as you can get. And there's a sense of it harkening back to the style of the original trilogy, in a sense. It's like it was shot in the 70s, but with today's special effects. And yeah, it kind of sits in its own tier, I think, because it's not like The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is definitely Star Wars through and through. Andor is just it's like nothing else, really. And even Rogue One was Star Wars, but Andor is so infused with realism and with the issues of today, and it's very political. It's just it's its own contained thing that we may never see again in our lifetimes,
Yep.
which is kind of scary to think about. But
It would be hard to believe if you told me that we're going to see something better Star Wars related in the next 10 years. I would have a hard time believing
gosh,
that.
I don't like to think about that,
But
man.
I mean,
Yeah. And I know we're jumping ahead here, but it's like, where does Star Wars go from here? I
yeah,
mean, what do they do to raise the bar or stay level with something like Andor?
it would have to feel very like the original trilogy in some way to top this in a different kind of way. Like, it'd have to feel very fantasy like, in my opinion. That's just for me. But I mean, this was just incredible.
Yeah, it goes. I mean, even if you didn't like it as a Star Wars fan, I think you still have to respect it, though. That's the thing. But I think universally people loved it. I think we want to talk about that. I think we want to talk about the individual episodes. Did you think this arc, this block of episodes, was better than last week's?
I don't think so.
Maybe like a rung or two below.
I'm not. Last week's episodes were so incredibly tense.
Yes.
There wasn't a lot of tension in these episodes. It felt a little bit like it was more wrapping up than anything. So I don't know who directed these. Was it the same director for this whole arc, or the same writer?
Yeah, writers and director. It was a different for this block. I think every block had their own director and main writer.
I just liked last week's better because it was just so unbelievably tense in so many ways, and this one, it just felt like it was just dragging out a little bit more. Like there wasn't tension in all the scenes. It felt more like it was kind of slowly wrap up. But
Right.
I was expecting a little bit more tension, or thought maybe there would be some kind of conflict. I mean, even the conflict in the hallway, it wasn't nearly as intense as it was last week, where everything was just insane.
Yeah, the buildup was way more suspenseful, and I was just wound up last week. But yeah, still, I mean, we've been predicting the fates of all these characters, Clea and Dedra, and even her superior, the guy at the end. That yeah, spoilers in case you didn't know for the whole of Andor season 2 here. But yeah, he
Padagast.
yeah, yeah, he did himself in. He had a blaster there.
Which that kind of surprised me, right? Like that he took such a fall for this.
Didn't surprise me that much. I knew when he said, "Can you give me a moment to collect my thoughts?" I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna off himself."
I felt like that too. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is like the tension wasn't there this week.
Yeah. Last week it
Not
felt
that
like
it
it was a
wasn't
master
great.
class, and the elements of the story kind of called for it and aided it. Not so much this week, but yeah, just kind of processing the whole thing. I love the fact that they brought back all those same actors from Rogue One. We got to see Admiral Raddus back again.
Yep.
Jodie Turner-Smith's character. A lot of the people that were around that table when Jyn Erso made her proposal.
Oh my, they're awful. I feel like they should go to Last Jedi and stay there.
Pow was there.
Yep.
the alien soldier.
Yep.
And I think we did see Biston, the monkey guy.
I don't remember seeing him.
I'm not sure if we saw it
Maybe in the
this.
barracks. Was he like sitting on the
I
benches or
saw
whatever?
Pal. I think maybe we saw Biston last week in Yavin, and this week we didn't see him. Maybe it's tough to remember. But
The saddest thing is that we did not get Moroff.
well, we did get Saul Guerrera in a hologram, and at the very end, when they did kind of the montage of all the characters before we left them for good, got to see him on Jeddah, looking out the window and seeing Jeddah City with a Star Destroyer hovering right over it, like we all see it in Rogue One.
Yeah. But doesn't it take place now? How soon is this? Is like leading right into Rogue One. That the mission they're going on to. That's where we first see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Cassian's wearing the same jacket, pants, belt, gun, holster,
underwear,
hairstyle, underwear, probably. And he's saying he's going to the Ring of Kafrine to talk to Tivik, because Tivik will only talk to Andor. And we all know that what he's told at the beginning of Rogue One.
Yep.
And that ending, man, that's the only thing I think I've called this whole show. We get a last shot of B2 Emo. It looks like he has a droid friend.
Yeah.
That he has some companionship with, and very poignant to see Bix out there. And I think a lot of people predicted she would have a kid.
That was brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal.
I had a couple tears. I was tearing up. I was like, "Oh man, that is brutal." I was waiting for her to say Poe. I was waiting for her to say, "It's okay, Poe," something like that. But
so yeah, Bix with child in the wheat field, and then of course it mirrors the end of Rogue One when Andor and Jyn are hugging, and she's hugging Andor's son at the very end, and it just cuts away. So man, that was rough.
At least somebody had a happy ending, in a way, you know.
Yeah, man.
That was sad. That was
it kind of feels like they're gonna want to explore Bix in like a novel or something like that. Maybe it's.
I'm sure she'll be in something.
Yeah. But yeah, great season. I mean, I think everyone kind of agrees that this is probably one of the greatest, maybe one of the greatest of all time Star Wars shows. Let's get to some of these messages in chat here. Adam Locke on YouTube says Andor is very adult. Started with the season with rape, ended with suicide. Never thought Disney would do that. We agree. Bronny Troll on YouTube says Andor has no random funny glupshitos throwing off the vibe. I mean, people would argue with that. I mean, we got Radis in the end, then we got Pal, but then you can argue that's not random at all. Adam Locke says YouTube, the only thing that can top Andor is to create something as high quality and interesting that also has Jedi and saber battles. Only thing Andor is missing as a great Star Wars production is Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of trying to say earlier, is that, you know, we need something like this caliber, but with the Force and lightsabers and light side, dark side, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's all kind of Old Republic type stuff that they could do. They could bring that to light. I think having Jedi in Andor would definitely undermine it, and not give it the impact.
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah,
except more off.
more off. Bronny Troll on YouTube says was filled with dread when Bix left, saying we will meet again, know Andor's fate, but then seeing Bix with Andor's son had me tear up. Yeah, you and Craig, man.
We don't know if it was a son, do we?
Oh man, I mean, they're kind of implying that's Andor's kid, and he's
I meant it could have been a daughter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't know what the sex is.
We got to get Tony on the line. I need answers.
Bronny Troll on YouTube says, well, it's hard when you know who lives and dies. It wasn't that difficult for me, actually. I thought it was going to be more of an issue watching these episodes, but it didn't really phase me that much. I mean, I don't know if it's just the filmmaking and the writing that kind of took that into consideration when it was crafted, but it didn't really affect me much. Mariana Arnold says, "Oh my God." Yeah, I mean, I have the same sentiment. It's
I guess we should start with like the first episode, kind of run through all three, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm just gonna finish reading these. Adam Locke says, "Who was Bix's baby? Is it a character from later shows, movies we know? Don't know. Is Andor a boxer or brief guy? I want to
You
say
have to
boxer
ask
brief."
Vic.
Mariana says, "I think before the season started, I thought I'd see so much action. I think I got 75% of what I expected in action and things getting blown up. Amazing storytelling, but overall underwhelming." Adam Long says, "I thought Bix would die." I mean, I didn't think she would die because she did the Captain America death where she went away and she kind of technically her character is gone. So,
I didn't think she was going to die,
yeah,
to be honest.
yeah. All right, so the first episode, chapter 10 of Andor season 2, entitled "Make It Stop." 51 minutes long. Lonnie Jung taps out. Dedra closes in. Luthen scrambles. Clea delivers. That's
So
the
obviously, Clea
description.
is not Leia,
Yeah,
but that's fine. I didn't expect her to be, but I thought maybe after I kept seeing comments, I was like, oh, now that I'm looking at it, I could see it. But seeing how she's found and whatever. So I guess Luthen was with the Empire, and whatever he heard was horrible, and takes her in. So that was great. Nice to see Luthen's backstory a bit there.
Yeah, and I think you called it. You said that we were going to get some of Luthen's backstory. I didn't think so, but man, they went back and they de-aged him, and we got to see young Clea. That was pretty cool. I didn't think they were going to do that, but yeah, they went there. And of course, Lonnie shows up with his final message to Luthen, and he talks about the super weapon. He doesn't know it's called the Death Star. Of course, we learned that in Rogue One. And then brutally, Luthen shoots him in the heart, basically, with a blaster, which mirrors what Cassian does in Rogue One there to Tivik. But yeah, we get finality with Lonnie.
Or Lonnie, he couldn't get him out.
Yeah, man, it's tough. He was begging for it. He said he had a wife and a kid. He had a family.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get Luthen and Clea reconvening, and Luthen wants to essentially send her away, right? And she wants to work the comms. And then that basically saves Clea's life because Luthen puts that mercury-looking acid stuff on that switchboard that that Clea was famously using throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
And Dedra shows up to the museum there. I don't know, what do you call that place? They called it like a antiquity place,
antique shop, antiquity shop, maybe.
Yeah, his own personal den of antiquities. And yeah, you see everything that's been there before. I don't think he sells much, but yeah, if you look at the background, and it's not really it's canonical items, but they don't make a lot of sense. Because of course you have like Starkiller's armor, you have I think one of the Calicories from I think it was Hera's family, or from what's the race called? I'm drawing a blank.
Oh man, I can't think of it either.
Yeah, and you see some of the shields from Wookiees that we've seen in the past, and what looks to be like the World Between Worlds artwork as well, like cuttings of the stone of the wall. And as soon as Dedra throws that box down and opens that box up and shows the star path in it, I was like, oh man, she knows. This is not going to be good.
Yep.
She knows she's onto him, and Luthen, you can see it in his face. He drops from out of character, and he's like, "There's. I mean, when are we gonna stop acting?" And then I think Dedra breaks the act, and she's like, "I've been looking for you for a long time, and shame on you for doing this." And I was wondering the whole time. It's like, okay, well, she has a blaster on her side. Is Luthen armed? Is Luthen gonna get Dedra? And then as much as the
I
dialogue they had, I was like, nah, I don't think any of that's gonna happen. It's gonna be something like from outside, like an external source or something.
I
But
thought he might blow up the building, to be honest, with her in it.
oh wow,
That's kind of what I was thinking. I
yeah, he didn't
definitely did
have.
not expect him to stab himself.
Well, once he displayed that dagger, I was like, that dagger is gonna have something to do with something here. But when he turned around, and I was like, oh, he just tried to kill himself, didn't he? And yeah, and that's definitely what he did with that antique dagger. And I mean, I I thought, I was like, if he was trying to kill himself, why didn't he go for like an artery or something, or like a vein or something? Um, I don't know. I guess he just stabbed himself in the stomach.
Yeah, I don't think we could really tell.
Yeah.
Did they show it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. We got to see the Star Wars version of like a stretcher with like a little droid on it. I thought that was interesting, and it flew itself into a Star Wars ambulance ship, and it has the classic like Red Cross version of the logo for medical that we've seen in like Battlefront and other stuff. And yeah, he gets flown off to the hospital. Clay, of course, witnesses it all, and Dedra's replacement, who's not his replacement, shows up and gets kind of the lowdown. And of course, the Empire knows about the whole Den of Antiquity setup, and they go to the switchboard, and it looks like he didn't do that great a job of melting everything.
Yeah.
So there was some remnant of it left, and of course the Empire got to it, made quick work of it. Clay ends up back at the apartment, and I guess that's kind of like the only safe spot they have. And then from there, it goes to the flashbacks, and we get. Did you kind of think this was a flashback when it started happening? I mean, what did you think this was? Because the camera was like behind stuff.
Well, no, I got the feeling that it was a flashback. He looked young right away.
Right. Before they put the camera on Luthen, and of course, yeah, they de-aged him.
I don't know. It felt like it happened pretty quick before I
Yeah.
started thinking about what it was. But I think I had a feeling it was a flashback.
Right. And he didn't have any kind of like Empire logo, insignia, or badge or anything on his uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Hey, what's up, Colin?
Hey, guys.
Oh, you made it.
So, yeah, we're going through the first episode here. And
You.
of course, we talked about in the pre-show, maybe Clay is Leia. And then I was like, oh, man, Clay is fixing her hair. What if she puts the two buns on?
Yeah.
Clay is not Leia. That I've never no that like having a younger person play that character in Obi-Wan was different because it was a younger actress. This actress playing Leia would be weird because it is around is Leia. So yeah.
Then we get to see little Clea hiding, little stowaway, a lot like she reminded me of Newt from Alien or Aliens.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could tell that Luthen was like regretting his position. He was he was almost like saying like calming words to himself in like an alien language or something. And
He was saying something like "Make it stop," right? Make it
yeah,
stop.
he said make it stop, and he uttered some other stuff too, which maybe was his like his original language or whatever. I guess they didn't speak basic there or whatever. But yeah, he wants out of the Empire, befriends Clea as a young girl, and Clea walks out. She knows that her mission is to basically either rescue Luthen or finish him off. And I'm pretty sure
I
that
didn't get the feeling she was trying to rescue him.
yeah. But I mean,
I
if he wasn't on like life support or whatever, I mean, definitely it would be like a rescue mission or whatever. But I mean, he was on Star Wars life support or a Star Wars ventilator or whatever.
yeah.
And of course, she couldn't carry him out. I mean, so the only option was to end his life, which is kind of sad. But I think they probably had discussions in the past, maybe when she was that child, that hey, look, if they capture me and if I know stuff,
Well, she knew him well enough that that's what she had to do.
right. And Dedra's just like staring at him, waiting for him to gain consciousness, be able to talk so they can interrogate him. And she gets detained and she gets taken back. And I think this is the first time we see like a hospital setting in Star Wars, right?
I mean, we saw Luke in the bacta tank.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a hospital though. That was like a
infirmary. It was and we see just that stupid whatever the hell that mod room in the Book of Boba Fett where they finished Shand. That was But I can't think of any other hospital stuff.
We also did see some hospital stuff in the Clone Wars as well.
Did it look like this at all, or was it?
No, okay. It was on a medical station throughout the war in the Clone Wars.
Right, when Luke and Leia were born on that asteroid.
Yep. Polis.
Yeah. And yeah, we see Clea go through. Oh, there is someone in the bacta tank we see. Did you guys catch that?
Yes, I did. I did catch that.
It's like a cone-headed alien.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember I didn't obviously get too good of a look at it. It looked kind of odd, though.
Yeah. Some of these aliens did look odd.
How about that one old lady? She was like the chocolate lady from SpongeBob. Chocolate!
She looked very like E.T.-ish to me, like E.T.'s grandmother, you know?
She's like,
yeah.
You should have been like, chocolate?
She just went with it, man. It was kind of funny. It was very real world to me. If you were to just take an elderly person in a wheelchair, they're not going to do anything, you know?
Yeah. No, the writing is just superb.
And yeah, we would flip flop back into Clea's like kind of origin story and how savvy she was as a child. That she was very street smart, doing the whole bargaining and being quick with her responses to help Luthen sell his stuff that he probably stole from wherever. And they did mention a Deveronian necklace. I thought that was interesting.
Yes, when they were young.
Yeah. I don't think we've got a single Deveronian in this series. Not that
maybe
I can
in
remember.
the background or something that we just didn't catch.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, we kind of get the conversation between Luthen and Clea, young Clea, about, am I your daughter now? And Luthen says, when it's necessary, when it helps us. So that's kind of their relationship. And it was very much like a father-daughter relationship, no matter how you cut it, because of her age, she took care of her. I think she kind of took care of him. I mean, they were kind of like a team for a very long time.
Yep.
And yeah, Clea used her wits to get up in the hospital to the level that Luthen was on. And by the time that she got to as far as she could, she was like, okay, it's time to start blasting people, and that's what she did. And of course, you get the cut back to the scene where there's a huge firing squad, and Clea goes down and sees it for herself. It felt like Luthen was trying to keep her from that, but she still went and saw it firsthand. And I think that's when she kind of had her feelings cemented about the Empire and about evil.
Well, I think it was probably cemented when her entire planet was destroyed and all their family. It was horrible the way they were getting gunned down.
Right. Well,
I mean, that was pretty bad hearing that scene.
Yeah. So, yeah, Clea makes her way up and, of course, cuts back to an older Luthen. And apparently he put charges up there, and he's kind of teaching her how to act when the explosions occurred. And they have a conversation about everything that's going on. Cut back to Clea, and yeah, she sees Luthen, enters the room, unplugs his I guess his breathing machine
type thing, whatever it was.
Yeah. And you could see the I guess the it was like a heart rate machine, and it had numbers on it for I guess his beats per minute or whatever in Star Wars. And she sheds a tear, and that's the end of the first episode. Make it stop. The second episode has a picture of K2SO, episode 11, Andor season 2. Who Else Knows is the title. Cassian returns to Coruscant for one last extraction. And they did a real good job on the recaps as well. I thought. I think I watched most of them this season, but yeah, they did a really good job. And of course, this episode starts off with the explosions. It shows, what was the name of that one officer that detained Dedra?
Hirt.
Oh yeah, Hirt. Yeah, there's a lot of tough pronounce names, like very odd. And they had the owner of the hospital show up, and he's basically told that he can't admit any patients, which is, I immediately thought of World War II, Germany, that whole deal where like that type of martial law, that militaristic, like iron fist was put in place. There was no negotiating. You had to do exactly what they said. Dedra was put in a cell. Krennic shows up, which was fantastic. Their exchange was really, really good, I thought.
I like when he goes like that to her head.
Yeah, he puts the finger on her head, and then he mentions, and then she says it out loud. She finally, I think it's the first time we hear the words Death Star in the show, if I'm not mistaken. And she's telling the truth.
We not. I thought we heard it sometime last week. No,
man, we've been hearing Death Star ever since we were like 6, like Andor, but so it's hard to pinpoint, I think, for us. But I don't know if Colin's there. I think it's the first time. I don't know. In chat, if you want to chime in, that the first time we hear the words Death Star and Andor. But yeah, Krennic doesn't believe her. Krennic thinks she's royally messed up. It's revealed that Krennic's been working on the Death Star project for like 10 years.
Which makes sense, but we see it at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Right. How does that not make sense?
So I mean, it was already being started.
Right. Yeah, it's been worked on. I mean, we saw it, at the end of Revenge, like the outline of the actual structure. So yeah, all it needed was the dish. It seems like, or maybe they were fixing the dish. I don't know. But yeah, the whole exchange between Dedra and Krennic was great. Ben Mendelsohn is just excellent.
Yeah, face shove at the end of when he's done was just like, what? Just like, don't worry, we'll deal with it in your absence. And he just grabs her face and just kind of shoves her, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Well,
of course, he turned off all the recordings too, so none of this was recorded.
Yeah. And the fact they actually said the word Death Star was like, oh, okay. And it was like cool that kind of see of him interrogator being like, how did you know about the Death Star? How did you really like know about everything? And then she's like, well, I heard from like someone on Scarif, and it's funny to see her on that side of the interrogation. I think that was very clever on their end, and especially with her fate, which I know we'll get to that and when we talk about episode 3. But yeah, these episodes are good. I like. There were definitely some things that because I was hoping on one of these episodes that we would maybe get more time with the storyline of finding Cassian's sister, just because that played a big part in the first season and we barely got a mention of it in this season. So I was
we saw her in the dream for a second.
Right, but that's it. Like, that's really the only thing that we got, except a mention of his sister, and then that dream sequence in episode 3. Other than that, we didn't really get any more. So
I don't think so. They didn't look alike.
No, and not only that,
even as kids, they didn't look like.
Yeah. I didn't get to talk about that much for episode 1, but I loved all of the backstory stuff with Luthen. I thought that was great. Just spending more time. And I wish we got more time. I do feel that it was kind of rushed of not to the extent where I'm not satisfied with the show. It's more of like I want more of it. And we know why we didn't, and it was because Diego Luna and Tony Gilroy didn't want to spend the next couple of years, kind of thinning out of this like kind of storyline. And it's kind of tough to do a show when you know exactly where it's going to end up at.
That's true.
For the most part. So,
but they pulled it off, I think.
Oh yeah. No. I think they did. However, I think there are some storylines that are kind of left open. I think there are some things that we could potentially see in the future, and different Star Wars projects. I think one thing that I am particularly bummed about was not getting more time with Luthen. I kind of figured Luthen was gonna die, but I wish that we got more of his backstory. And even with his backstory, it was his time with Clea and not just him, because I wanted to know, of where he got his fascination with artifacts and stuff like that. And it kind of seemed like he like already had it at that point when we saw him in the flashback. So I wanted to see more of that and see where that fascination came from. But yeah, no. And then did you guys talk about how like where Luthen actually presses the button and is the bomb on the bridge? Did you guys talk about how that planet was probably Naboo?
We did not talk about that. But it definitely looked like Naboo. Like it was that, for sure Naboo.
Yeah.
It looked exactly like the Lake Country where like
yes. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's not 100% confirmed Naboo, but to me, it like if you did look at the structures, they did have that Naboo look to it, and all the people that were just kind of walking around, and of the citizens of that planet, they did have like that kind of nice Naboo look to them. So, which I think that's a great callback, and I think it's fantastic, and it didn't feel forced at all. So yeah. Again, I would have enjoyed like a whole episode of just that being like the origin story. There's the show that I watch called 911, and basically they have like these origin episodes where it's like the character's name and then the title, so it's like uh Bobby Begins, and then it's basically his origin story, and I really enjoy those episodes because it makes you appreciate the characters more, and stuff like going forward, and the of the overall storyline. And I wish that we got more of that with these characters because of seeing where Deidre got her start. Like just more of the character growth than what we got. I felt it was great. It's just I wish that we got more. It felt implied that Clea was Cassian's sister. No way to
I did
confirm.
not get that feeling at all.
Where okay, Jay, where do you think it was implied? Because I'm curious about that, because I don't it just doesn't make sense. It be because of they definitely are you thinking that where Luthen was in that flashback was where Cassian was from, and that was like a second massacre or something there, and then she got on the ship? Is that what you're thinking? Because I think that maybe Cassian and Clea maybe would have felt more of a connection. I felt like they maybe would have recognized each other more, but I don't think they're siblings.
They didn't look like the same kids, and the kids,
No.
the adults were already massacred, and when the sister was alive,
Yeah.
and it didn't sound like they were massacring children when we had the flashback with Clea. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. No.
Right? That would have been like they just went to the planet to start slaughtering kids like that.
Oh.
So I didn't get that vibe.
Interesting thought, though. But going back to the episode, who else knows? Episode 11. Krennic leaves Dedra in the cell, and then Krennic gets news from someone, and then I think that's the point where Dedra automatically knew that Access Luthen Rail is dead.
Yep.
And she talked about that later on in the episode, but yeah, looks like that was what was conveyed. And we see Clea go back to the apartment there, and she starts chipping into the wall, and she brings out a communications device. And we have Hirt looking at security footage and figures out that it wasn't a team. It wasn't a 3-person team. It was just Clea. Clea going in disguised or wearing like a head covering, and then turning into a nurse with the scrubs, Star Wars scrubs. And Clea sends out a signal, almost like a Morse code type signal to whoever had one of the sister radios. And it looks like Wilmon had a radio underneath his bunk. And his partner says, "What's this all about?" Because it was beeping under her while she was there. Wilmon was out. He shows up, and then we get a scene finally with K2SO interacting with Andor. What's the game they're playing? It's like Space Dominoes, Colin. Do you know what it is?
I'm gonna have to rewatch the episode to like actually get the name, because I think they actually said the name during the actual episode. But I love the actual. I really loved the chemistry, and I love how we get more screen time with the character Melshi, just because we know what happens to him in Rogue One we don't see that much interaction of him and Cassian. So I liked how they met in Arcana, and then you see that friendship carry over in this, and I really, really enjoyed it. And also seeing K2, more involved, and that was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
Again, they could do a whole show if they wanted to of just Cassian and K2. Alan Tudyk crushed that role. And he was more than happy to return. So I'm glad that we got him. I wish we had more screen time with him. I feel like there's a lot of characters that we could have more screen time with, but yeah, overall it was good. Of that scene and in particular, I thought that was funny with all of them like playing the game and stuff. It was great.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah, the Krennic puts out the call to Hezekiah's hologram there in the middle of that Imperial meeting room, and it's spinning, and he's like, whatever it takes, bring this woman in alive, tell him that she has an infectious disease that will kill thousands of people. So that was the plan, and they sent the commander on his way. And Krennic was his Krennic self in conveying that message. And we head back to Yavin 4. And Cassian's like, yeah, I'm going to go back to Coruscant. He doesn't know at the time that Luthen has perished, but he thinks maybe it's Luthen that's setting out that SOS, essentially. And he makes a break for it. And I mean, he just takes the U-wing. He doesn't. I guess if he would have told them what it was for, they would have not allowed him to go because this was in regards to Luthen. So yeah, he shoots off into hyperspace.
That they had such a negative view on Luthen.
Yeah,
and that was like, what is this about? It's like, geez.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's almost like they had a more negative view of Luthen than they did of Saw, and Saw was like the more radical.
Well, it's crazy because, again, I think they actually did really crush the whole promotion access of not access of the whole view of the show of where they were promoting it, because they stated that you would look at Rogue One differently. And I do now, because Luthen is the one who really was like he was the one that was pushing the rebellion to be made. Mon Mothma and Bail Organa absolutely are a huge part of the rebellion, but Luthen was like the person that was doing a lot of the dirty work. He was the one that was getting his hands dirty, and that without Luthen, I don't think that the rebellion would have been able to get where they needed to go, because Luthen was the one that was pushing. He was the one that was doing all the stuff behind the scenes. Even though Mon, we know Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, but it's sad because maybe most of the rebels don't even know who Luthen is. So the fact that he died.
They don't know who he is, and then they make him sound like he's awful, and then the ones that make him sound awful sound like nitwits. I'm like, even Bail Organa didn't look so bright in that episode where he kind of was trashing.
Oh, dude,
Luthen. It was like
me like watching it. I like did that line from Harry Potter of where it was like, how dare you stand where he stood? Like, of just because of I miss Jimmy Smits, because of the entire time I was just trying to picture Jimmy Smits as that character, and it was just
he's the only actor that didn't come back, right? They didn't replace anyone else.
Yeah, no, they were able to get everyone, like everyone back except him, and that's what made that scene more, sad, because it was like, come on, man, but yeah, no, they. Yeah, of just are we on episode 3 yet or no?
No, we're still talking about episode 11. Okay. Yeah.
Keep
so yeah, Dedra's inner cell. Here approaches and asks for help, and she's like, "Why would I help you at this moment in time?" She's basically there because of him, and he kind of gives his reasons, and she talks about. Do you guys remember exactly what she says to trigger him to go off? Was it like communications, or I don't quite remember anymore.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about Deidre?
Yeah, what Dedra says to Hirt when she's in the cell.
What does she say?
She'll need to reach out. We're scanning everything we can. She
Find
knows
the
that.
radios or that.
Yeah, communications.
Radios.
That's exactly what I said. So yeah. So he gets that. He trusts Dedra's info, her intel. She goes out, and of course, what's the name of the commander back at Yavin that they brought back, the Englishman?
Not
General
no
Draven, or
yeah,
are you talking
Draven.
about,
yeah, Draven meets up with Wilmon, and they talk about why Andor left, and of course it's because he got the signal, and they think it's Luthen. And we see back at the Den of Antiquities there, one of the Empire's like decoders, machinists, whatever she is, talks about what could be scavenged, what could be useful. She wants to take it back to the lab or whatever, and then here it is like, no, you need to figure this out here and now, because I mean the fate of the Empire rests on all this stuff now. And,
I thought that was funny too, of them kind of like just kind of panning to that scene, and they were treating it like a crime scene, like it was Law and Order, like because of at one point someone was like putting on like what looked like a black latex glove, and I'm just like, okay, interesting.
And they put stuff in a bag. There was like some kind of bag.
Yeah. So this is something that I pitched to like a friend, and I still have like the entire like plot to it, and I don't want to give it away, but like, because to me it was an awesome idea, but I'll kind of explain my thought process. But have like a Law and Order type thing of where like it takes place on the streets of Coruscant, and then it could be during the Clone Wars era, it could be during the Imperial era, but it would be really cool to get more into the underworld stuff, and then have like the police authority type like more involved and stuff like that. So yeah, seeing like a Law and Order type scene like in this, it didn't really surprise me just because of how dark the show is. So of just seeing like them treating it like a crime scene was interesting. But
yeah, I would approve of it only if they use the Law and Order theme song at the beginning of it. That would be perfect. Iconic. Even though I think it's like a universal property, so they would have to play nice with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get the scene where the communications red light starts going off, and it's in sync with, I guess, what Clay is doing back at the apartment. And they just kind of like stare at it for a while. And the engineer talks about how they were using the Empire's own like antennas and their power to get out their signals. And she's like admiring it. And
the other guy's like,
and the guy gives her a look like, no, not the time. Not the time to admire the rebellion resistance there. So yeah, we switch back to Clay in the apartment. You see her maybe staying up all night trying to send out the signal. And of course, Wilmon got it. Andor, Melshi, and K2 are on the way in the U-Wing. And of course, we get these troopers without the classic stormtrooper helmets. I guess they're just ISB troopers. And I like when they threw here the chess piece and just shoved it into him. And I was kind of surprised he went on the mission with them, to tell you the truth. But
I was too.
Yeah. Then we have the older guy in the Empire. Oh, what's his name again? Craig, you said it a while ago. Say it again.
Huh?
Pendergast?
Is that his name? I don't remember. The older guy in the Empire.
Are you saying Radagast the Brown?
I thought it was like Pedagast or something.
These are Ruscabella rabbits. I like to see them try. Sorry, wrong franchise, but
So yeah, he's on comms listening to the whole raid, and of course K2, he starts to get restless. They cut the comms in the area. He can't communicate with Andor, vice versa. But of course, Andor's heading to that apartment. They go up in the space elevator there. They go into the apartment, see Clea. Clea tells them everything she knows in a broken up sentence. She says Galen Urso. We hear his name for the first time, I believe. Jedha, Kyber crystals, and the fact that this whole Gorman thing is for a different project, for a super weapon. And this whole sequence here with like the SWAT team sequence was pretty good, I thought, going in there. And I think that lays like groundwork for another show possibly. I'd like to see.
there's a lot of there's a lot that they can do with the armor. I know a lot of people were excited to see that full scene in effect, especially people in the costume community in the 501st, because it is like a mix of different armored pieces. And yeah, so I can't wait to see what people do within these next couple of months for that. But yeah.
And we see something that looks like a PKE Ghostbusters meter to detect where the signal's coming from. They use that. They go to the wrong level. It's like an old couple.
Yeah.
And I think we're jumping into the next episode here, the final episode of Andor season 2, entitled Jedha, Kyber, Urso. Cassian returns to Yavin with intel that will change everything. 49 minutes long. So we jump straight into the apartment with Melshi, Andor, and we see the SWAT team there on the correct level. But we see K2 make his way out and cross the bridge, and the Empire is like confused. They're like, did we call for backup, a destroyer droid or something?
Yeah.
And they're just like confused. And of course, he's chunking people off bridges, throwing people around, which is great to see. And still, I mean, K2 does get shot, but the blaster bolts just fly off.
Did he
I don't know.
shot? I don't remember him getting shot.
Yeah, he got shot a couple times. I think he got shot once in the shoulder, and it didn't impede him at all. And we got to see a stunning grenade being thrown. And
we've only seen, I mean, so there were some of those in the Clone Wars, like for droid specifically. But again, there is that realistic side to this where it felt like a flash one, but it was a stun one too, because it made them fly back, and I was kind of like surprised by that. It was like, oh, okay, interesting. But yeah, no, they did not hold back in that scene. And I loved Kay just walking in and just throwing people against the wall of just again, when Kay is not talking, it's scary because of like him walking up and just, I mean, hey, let's be real here. He murdered all those people. Like, he just straight up murdered all of those people. And what was like, he's a funny character, but his his droid protocols are still in place because it sounds like he remembers stuff too. But it was kind of scary. It's kind of scary seeing him not talk, because he just like he was using of the officer as an Imperial shield.
Yeah, that was
that was a wild scene.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, man. And I just loved how the other guy was just like, I don't care. Like, I was just like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot going on there. And they escaped.
They just calmly walk to the shuttle and take off in the U-wing. and make it back, and we see a hologram of Saw Gerrera talking to Bell, Draven, and Mothma. And Mothma looks like traditional Mothma
Yep.
with the haircut and her dress there. And then Saw Gerrera's like, well, how do I know if you're lying? You have spies that are spying on me. And he's just not trusting of anyone. But of course, he's a little crazy. He's been inhaling a lot of fumes. It's probably just a bad combination of all of it. And then you get the dispatcher, the comms guy from Rogue One, back in there, and he's talking about the communication, the signal that he's getting. Draven talks to him, and then we see Radis walk right by him, talk to him, because Andor is coming back in the U-wing, and they mentioned Merrick, which is interesting, a few times. We don't see the actor. I guess maybe they couldn't get the actor. He wasn't available. The leader of Blue Squadron, we don't see him at all, which is, I wish we did. That would have been cool. More synergy. And then
they crushed it with Admiral Radis, though. He looked great. His face was definitely animated in some parts. If it ends up being practical effects, I am impressed. I'm absolutely impressed. But his mouth was moving more where it looked like he was where you could actually see he was saying more words than what we got with Admiral Akbar and Admiral Radis from Rogue One. But he looked great. He looked absolutely phenomenal. So that was pretty cool. And then we got the annoying ginger guy with the mustache, and he complains all the time. He was in Rogue One too. I can't
oh yeah, with an odd cape that he wears.
Yeah,
they brought that character back. It's the Round Table, and I think the actress's name is Jodie Turner-Smith, right? She was also in Dune as well, and she was in the original Rogue One. Yeah, and they have a round table, and none of them take Luthen seriously, like we talked about earlier. They're not sure about trusting.
They were so infuriating. They were just as annoying in Rogue One.
Yeah,
they must have been secretly spies for the Empire.
Jeez.
Yeah, because of I remember when Jin says her line rebellions are built on hope, and then the actress Jodie, she's like, there is no hope, and I'm just like,
jeez,
you're part of the Rebel Alliance. What do you mean?
Jeez.
Yeah.
They cut to Clay a couple times on her infirmary bed, and she says nothing. She's just kind of looking. Then we see Vel talk to her sister Mon Mothma.
I was worried for a little bit. I'm like, they're not going to let her die from that flash grenade, are they?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I didn't think so, but I was like, that would be so stupid. Please don't do that.
Yeah, and Cassian promised her a hero's welcome, and of course she didn't get one, and Cassian said as much. And Mon Mothma wants Vel to see if she could detect any lies from what Cassian had, the information from Luthen about Jedha and the kyber crystals and super weapon. And then we have Tivik sending a signal back to Yavin, and Draven sees the message, and of course that puts everything in motion, what we see at the beginning of Rogue One. And then Vel and Cassian have a drink, and they drink to everyone that they've lost, all the planets as well, Aldhani. Then Vel kind of betrays Mon Mothma. She's like, hey, Mon wants to know if you're telling the truth, if Luthen's story is real. And
it's crazy that they would be doubted.
Yeah, I mean, he left without getting clearance, I mean, that's suspicious right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned Revnog a couple times in this episode, or in this block. I don't know, is that a new drink, Colin, or have we heard that before?
Ragnog?
Revnog.
Ravnog hanging. Stand by.
Yeah. And then Clay decides to get up off of her hospital bed there. And of course, we get the scene that we talked about where.
Yes, we have heard that drink.
Yeah, it sounded familiar, but I hadn't heard it in a long time.
No.
And of course, we get the scene where we get what was his name? Partagast? You said
Radagast.
So he's there. I mean, he's accepted his fate. He's being called back down.
Yeah.
Probably for an audience with the eventually. Well, I was thinking maybe this would be a prime scene to show like the Emperor and Vader, and then like doors close or something, you know. But of course, yeah, we didn't get any of that. And Tony Gilroy told us as much. Partagast.
Yeah, but listen, here's the thing though. I hate that, like, I mean, they were using his name so much as a substitute for not showing him. We could make a drinking game out of how many times that they actually mentioned Palpatine this season.
And not get drunk.
Yeah. They like mentioned him a lot. Like a lot. And the fact that they didn't show him is a big disappointment. I am disappointed that they didn't show him. Because of he is the face of the Empire. He is the Empire. He's the one that runs the Empire. Why not show Palpatine? Like, why not do it?
It wasn't in the budget, apparently.
It wasn't in the budgetary.
Right, but Craig, didn't you say that there was a quote from Tony Gilroy saying that the writing for him was like too intimidating or hard or something like that?
He said writing for Vader was too something because he doesn't really say much.
How about the Emperor?
Oh no, that he said, and he did say about Palpatine that it was too heavy.
No, that is unacceptable. I am sorry, but
let's call Tony.
Colin's gonna write a letter.
I'm just saying, like, dude, Hello? He is the face of the Empire. Why not have him in it? That would have, like, Mon Mothma's speech was great. It was awesome. It was wonderful. It was breathtaking. It would have been more intimidating and more impactful if she was saying it to the Emperor himself.
But I don't think she gets out of there alive if the Emperor's there.
Well, the Emperor's not gonna go chase her. He's not gonna go full Revenge of the Sith and like jump from like
just
each
like
thing.
That, Colin.
I don't think because of if that ended up happening, that would have killed the illusion of what the Empire is. Because the Empire
is made her fall off the side of the podium thing.
He would have stood there. He like would have sent his guards to do it. I guarantee you that that whole scene would have been more intense if the Emperor was involved, and they could have still made it more realistic of having her escape, even though the Emperor was there. I'm just saying it was a mistake for not having him involved.
I would have liked to seen him, and I would have liked to see Vader at the Gorman massacre. Why couldn't Vader be throwing some people around?
Nope, no, that one actually doesn't make sense because of Vader is the Emperor's lapdog. He is basically only there to deal with any type of Force user, or he's doing exactly what the Emperor needs him to do. I don't think him going to Gorman would have made sense. But if there was a Force user there, that would have been like, oh, okay, I'm there for it. But having Vader just show up, like just how he showed up in Rogue One, it made sense that he was there because of, these are the Death Star plans. Like, this is a big deal. So having him there, and not saying that the Gorman massacre wasn't a big deal, but I don't think it was at that Vader level. But yeah.
And what's the name of that blaster that Partagast pulls out, Colin?
It's
the DL-44.
Yes, that
Okay.
is a DL-44. Not
Scopeless.
yeah, it doesn't have a scope. It's not modified like what Tobias had in Solo.
Yeah.
When he gave it to Han, but yeah. So, and
So, yeah.
then when they're standing there, like just kind of waiting, and you hear the blaster fire, and the stormtroopers go, and then you just see him just kind of put his hand up, being like, "No," like he knew like that was gonna happen. It was just like, "Oh man, this is dark." Jeez, bro.
Then we go to the dark in the rain. Clay is walking through, and of course, Vel sees her, pulls her in, and we get the last conversation between Vel and Andor.
Yeah. See, yeah, and then Mon Mothma and Draven go to Organa, and then we have that dream sequence of the of his sister. And then K2 wakes up Cassian, and then
Yeah, he says it's always weird waking up humans.
yeah, also the person that you don't like is here, and then it's just Organa that's just standing there.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have a conversation to be like of where Bail Organa is like, you have to go on your mission, and he says something that maybe like that Luthen would say, and then Cassian's like, you two are very, very similar. You guys would have got along great, and then we get the jacket that we actually see him wear in Rogue One, and
The holster, the blaster, the pants, the
Mhm.
boxer briefs.
Yep.
And we get a shot of Mon Mothma's husband with another woman.
well,
drinking.
so
Was that the mother-in-law of the daughter?
Yes.
Of the son?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was laughing. Brooke was like, "Why?" And I was like, "He was not a good dude at all." And this just proves the point even more. And I think that happened because she just left. Oh man, I was wondering if they were gonna do anything with Mothma's family for the rest of the season, but yeah, so there you go. We definitely got our answer.
Yeah,
for
it was
that.
a funny way of having seen something. The dude with another woman.
Yeah, geez.
And the daughter's mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Yeah, Cassian's walking through and he sees that Force healer again, and they kind of like lock eyes with each other. And we get a shot of Saul looking like Rogue One Saul with the whole suit and the respirator, looking out
underused him
on Jeddah. And he's pretty expensive though, Colin.
I don't care. They underused him this season. We didn't get his accident, and I guarantee you, if we had the original plan for Andor, where we were getting more seasons, we probably would have seen the actual accident of because in Rogue One he's missing a leg, and he's got his breathing thing for a reason.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We didn't see.
We had the breathing thing today.
Well, yeah, because it's leading directly into Rogue One, but I'm saying is we didn't get to see why. We didn't get to see how that happened to him. We got more screen time with him, I think, honestly, in Star Wars Rebels than of what we got in Andor. Because there was a whole episode of Rebels of where we are with Saw. Actually, a couple episodes with Saw. So honestly, I think we got more screen time with Saw and Rebels than we did in Andor, which is kind of sad because I wanted to see what his accident was, because I don't think we know what his accident was. I could be wrong, but yeah. And then we get Deidre.
Dedra's in like an Arkina style prison unit, and she's wearing the I don't know what is that called specifically, Colin?
The Narkina. It's just a Narkina prisoner suit.
Prisoner
I've
suit.
got
okay.
one. I love it. It's great. For the 501st. It's
Yeah. The lights get cut off. She puts her head in her hand. She cries. She regrets it all, apparently. And
She
we
had it
get a
coming.
shot of Krennic looking upon the Death Star. No dish yet.
Yeah.
And you see Star Destroyers, TIE Fighters in the background. And Cassian is on his way to the Ring of Kafring to meet Tivik. And we get the shot that I called. We have B2 emo at the end.
Same. Yep. I called that too.
Yeah, well, he has a droid friend. It's nice to see that he's got a buddy there. And then, of course, the camera pans up and we see Bix, of course. Bix is walking into the wheat field. She's holding something. And I think everyone's mind goes to, okay, well, she's holding the offspring of Cassian and Bix, which the camera does turn around and we see the baby. The baby cries a bit. And it totally mirrors what the end of Rogue One was, two people hugging. And it's just sad that Cassian may have never found out that he had a kid. And that's end of scene, end of season, end of series.
Yeah.
We
I
get
think
credits.
if Cassian knew that he had a kid, I think he would have fought harder to stay alive. And I think that's what makes it more sad. Is that I felt like maybe in a way in Rogue One when they are in Scarif, I feel like, he is ready to die for the rebellion because, he's not with Bix anymore. She's not even on his mind really during any of those moments. And I think that that's why he didn't fight as hard, because he didn't, he didn't have that much to lose except his life. Like, he was fighting for the cause 100%. But I feel like if he knew that Bix had a child and he realized it was his, I think he would have fought harder to stay alive. But
The only problem is that Bix wasn't created yet, Colin.
Well, yeah. But yeah. And I loved seeing B2 emo. I know a lot of people were like no, but I think the other thing is that the show opens up a lot of potential for some of these characters to possibly return in Ahsoka season 2, because we know that the New Republic is going to be real strong, and I think there are some surviving characters from the rebellion that I could see in that fight against Thrawn. I could see them, there, not as main characters, but I could see them there. And I think, I think that could add to like the Avengers type level for Dave Filoni's movie if they added some of those characters that survived from Andor to like kind of carry over, of being like, I feel like I need to, step into the fight again. And then you see some of these characters come back. I think that would be really, really cool. And a real shout out to Andor as well, and how great of an impact that show has had on the community, because the show is great. It's dark, it's gritty, it's, we probably won't see something like this ever again.
Well, I just pulled up something from IMDb that the top 4 highest rated live action episodes for Star Wars. You guys want to take a stab at the top 4?
Why top 4?
All Andor.
Top 5? Yeah.
I just have 4 here.
Oh, interesting. Probably number 1 is
all
Luke
Star Wars
Skywalker
live action. All Star
right.
Wars.
Probably like of shows or movies as well.
Just the shows.
Oh, show's okay. Probably Luke showing up in season
2.
2 of The Mandalorian is
That
definitely one of them.
That was ranked well, it's tied with a 9.8.
Okay. And then the other one is probably the Narkina 5 episode of where they're saying One Way Out.
That's in there. That's ranked number 4.
Okay.
The Gorman Massacre episode.
Which one?
I think it's episode 8.
9. Right? 9, 8?
8. Yes, that
okay.
was ranked second.
Okay. So we got one more.
We need number 3.
Wow, guys, we are really good at this. This is great.
It's like it's like we're Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Um,
Episode 1 of The Mandalorian, where we meet
Nope.
Grogu.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Obi-Wan.
Tonight's episode.
Not tonight.
We are so. Oh my gosh. Ahsoka episode 5 with Anakin.
Nope.
That's not even on there.
No, there's only 4.
That's not even.
That's
That's insane that episode is not on there. I'm like of the one where Ahsoka and Anakin fight and we have the flashback scenes. That one's not on there.
No, there's only 4 on this list.
That's insane.
You guys are close. You guys almost got it, but
is it the? Okay, I'm done playing this.
We give up, Craig. Let us know.
Craig,
it's
just
the Andor episode 9 where they rescue Mon Mothma.
Okay, it's good.
The episode after the Gorman episode.
Nah, I'm sorry, not having the Ahsoka versus Anakin in the flashback scenes on there is crazy. That's, I don't know who's behind that, but they are dropping the ball. Like, no.
Well, I don't know. It's rated by IMDb, so I don't know how they do
great.
it.
I don't care. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Move on.
Well, Steven Spielberg, he was at that AFI event, and he said he announced what the greatest movie of all time is. What do you think he said?
He better have said Empire Strikes Back.
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it was the Francis Ford Coppola Lifetime Achievement ceremony, so of course he said The Godfather. Yeah. But it's Star Wars. Star Wars is the greatest movie of all time. You cannot get around it. It's the greatest movie, the most influence. It influenced all the directors we have today. It's Star Wars. I'm sorry. There's no way around that answer. It's Star Wars. Star Wars is the greatest movie of all time. It started everything. It's the beginning. So
what do our listeners think? Anyone? We haven't had any listeners chime in for a while.
Yeah, let's look at, well, there's a lot of comments here. I'm about to read them all. Let me go to the very end. Adam Locke says, who is Bix's baby? Is it a character from later shows, movies we know? I guess the prevailing theory was maybe the hope was for Poe Dameron to be that kid.
Nope.
A lot of people threw that around.
No. And the only reason why is because we know who his parents are.
If it's not in live action, it can be redux.
Nope.
Retcon.
She was a rebel pilot, and she was in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. No. Unfortunately,
but they still could change it though.
Yeah, Colin.
I don't think they're going.
They're going to retcon it. Just because Colin says nope doesn't mean they're not going to do what they want. They're like,
could you imagine? No. All right, he said it. No.
no. I just Max Rebo is the new emperor. What is this happening?
No. Can we talk about these past couple of weeks? I haven't mentioned Max Rebo. It's been Craig, and then we go from there. We have the recordings to prove it. I'm just saying. I haven't mentioned Max Rebo. You're the one that mentions him first, and then we go from there. Just saying. But yeah, I I don't see them going anywhere with that theory. Just because we also know his age, and I don't think the age matches up at all. He would be too. Yeah, he would be too old. And
Well, there's a
Force
big shot in
Awakens.
the sequels where they show the round table and the
Mhm.
Starkiller base. There's a bunch of people there. He could be a pilot. Who knows? Maybe they
Right.
retcon that some way, somehow, and he's just not a main character.
I'm just saying it's not Poe. I know a lot of people were thinking that. It was like it's.
I hope
it's,
Tony Gilroy comes out tomorrow and said, "I didn't have a baby in mind. I was watching Star Wars Stuff podcast and decided Colin was wrong. It's now Poe Dameron."
All right, hang on, Craig. Because of you are so set on this, but I'm telling you, it's not him.
And Adam Locke on YouTube says,
I didn't just say that it was him. I said we're gonna have Tony Gilroy making an official announcement because he's aggravated. I'm tired of Colin saying no. Get Lucasfilm on the phone.
I'm not saying no. You're blowing that out of proportion. But his parents' name is Kes Dameron and Shara Bay. Shara Bay. Kes. Kes. Dameron and Shara Bay. Shara Bay was a rebel pilot, and her husband, Kes, was also a member of the rebellion. Poe was born, wait for it, 2ABY. That means that he was already born, so it doesn't make sense.
but it's very close
We don't know.
to the
Wait,
age of that baby.
was like a year old, Colin.
He said after the Battle of Yavin.
2ABY. After Battle of Yavin.
3 years older than that baby.
After Battle of Yavin. ABY.
Not BBY.
It's an A. It's an A, Craig.
Well,
calm down.
I'm calling my people at Lucasfilm. I've had enough of this. I'm not going to stand for this any longer. Moroff. Get Moroff on the line.
Mariana Arnold says, I think before the season started, I thought I'd see so much action. We talked about this earlier, I think. Adam Locke says, I thought Bix would die.
Yeah, I didn't think she was going to die.
Melted Copper on YouTube says they should Andor survive the beach and have Andor be its own alternative Star Wars. Like, what if? Then bring the solo cast in, maybe recast Luke. Then Luke can become evil, a redeemed Vader.
Oh my god, man!
There's a lot of stuff in there.
This guy is just living in the world of legends. He like must.
Melted Copper also says, a what if world is room for lots of fun, sans fitting in a continuity they botched. Okay.
Okay.
But he also says he or she, 4 of you need to hit the like button or like thumbs up. I'll just say like button.
And please leave us a 5-star review on Apple. 5 stars.
If you can listen to us on Spotify, that's even better.
Even better.
Well, just listen to us in general. What is happening right now?
Adam Locke on YouTube says, can only imagine the workforce needed to build the Death Star. Not sure how that many people could keep it a secret for a decade. I mean, space is pretty big, so it's not that hard. Just keep it off the hyperspace lanes. We read this one before. It felt implied that Clea was Cassian's sister. Brawny Troll on YouTube, didn't he kill himself hearing the manifesto?
Wait, who? What?
I don't know. Does it ring a bell?
No.
Okay.
Then there is Bix knew she was pregnant and left because she knew he would give up fighting for them. Yeah. That was, I mean, as soon as we saw her holding the baby, not Poe Dameron, that was the first thing that like popped in my brain was that was her motivation to leave to make sure that he kept on fighting.
Yeah, that's just such a gut-wrenching thing, man. I mean, Andor died for the rebellion. Everyone pretty much dies for the cause, except for the people that left there. We don't know the fates of, I guess, Vale. And do we know the fate of Mon Mothma after Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, she was in Ahsoka.
Yeah, she becomes the Supreme Chancellor.
Supreme Chancellor.
But after that as well, we don't.
Kind of in the Aftermath books.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't know. I mean,
We're not
my
that
guess
far in the
is-
timeline yet. That's where we're still at.
right. But yeah,
So yeah, no books or comics have been written past Ahsoka, correct?
that
It's all been like
no.
before, like
Well, I
High
mean, you have
Republic
to.
stuff.
Well, you have to think of all the all of the sequel books and comics and stuff like that leading into Force Awakens. So there are definitely other stuff happening in the sequels. I think what we're trying to say is that we don't know the fate of Mon Mothma. You know, going into the sequel era. But yeah,
She reunites with Perrin when she becomes Supreme Chancellor.
Oh man, she
And he
finds out.
becomes First Lady Perrin.
yeah.
Yeah, she finds out
Also,
she was being cheated on.
we did not get any Rebels cameos. No, like Callus. No, no
didn't think
Chopper.
we
No
would.
Hera. No
Yeah.
Ghost.
Our
Again,
generation didn't think we would, Colin.
I know, but I'm just saying, kind of a missed opportunity again. I mean,
If Filoni had his hands on it, it would have been.
100%. And here's
Dave was
my
probably in the background, like. "Just put
here's my
Chopper over
debate.
there."
Here's my debate about this. The Rebels, Phoenix Squadron, they are a big part of the Rebel Alliance. So it's not to me, it wasn't that big of a deal to have them in there if they're in the background. Having Callus there would have made more sense too, because he was mainly on Yavin, after the events of where he left the Empire, and then he became, like more involved with the Rebel Alliance. So having Callus not there was also a disappointment. But yeah, I enjoyed the show overall. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Big reason is that because the Emperor was not there. If the Emperor showed up, I
Max Rebo.
Nah, it's too dark and gritty for him. There was not enough, fun moments for him. But yeah, no, man,
I want to see Orlan Bounty Hunter. That's what I want to see.
They had a Orlan Nihil character that was in the High Republic books.
How many limbs did it have, Colin?
4 limbs.
Oh man, maybe there's different species of Orlan.
Yeah. And yeah. Oh, and
don't get me started.
Yeah, I was gonna say I am wearing the one shirt from.
Oh, nice.
From Japan.
Who got you that shirt?
Some really cool dude.
Some David, really cool guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't get me a lousy pen.
You were asking too much. You were asking him to buy the whole Hot Toy store.
I asked for one lousy dark side Anakin. That's it.
A dark side Anakin. Yeah, it sold out. And I wouldn't have room in my suitcase anyways.
You make
I'd have to buy another suitcase.
You find room.
You check make room.
Hey, I flew by myself, so I couldn't ask a friend. I know people that bought like 2, 3, 4 suitcases to bring stuff back, but they don't live anywhere close to me, so I don't know.
Well, this stinks, man. We got no live action Star Wars for a whole year.
This is true, but we do have more Star Wars content coming here actually on Thursday, which is Star Wars Outlaws, and we get Hondo Onaka's great return. And Hondo Onaka is returning again next year over at Smuggler's Run with some, new dialogue, some new scenes for that ride, because they're adding a bunch of new missions and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I didn't realize they were going to keep Hondo.
Well, so the way they're making that story makes sense is that basically, and it sounds like they are reskinning the entire ride. which is super exciting. So when you go over, it's not Hondo going into it's not taking place during it's not taking place during the sequel era. It is taking place during the Mandalorian timeline because Hondo has been tasked to go and search throughout the galaxy for like potential new Republic bases, as far as I know. And they're sending Mando to kind of supervise him to do that. And Hondo is not a big fan of the Mandalorian, is what they were saying. But you have the chance to go to Coruscant, Tatooine, Endor, and Cloud City.
Cool. I saw the
so-
pictures. I can't wait.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And that opens the same week as the new movie. So
I thought I heard that Jon Favreau say that it's going to be a side quest of something that happens during the timeline of the movie. And that's why it comes out the day of the movie.
don't remember hearing that, but that would be pretty cool because if we saw Hondo in live action, I would be so happy. And that's what everyone's been asking for such a long time. Is to see Hondo in live action. And for sure, I thought it was going to be Skeleton Crew. We saw his ship. We did see the Katuni there, but we didn't see him. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think on the podcast, we're going to catch up on some news that dropped during Andor. I know we really didn't do any news podcasts, and I think Craig is going to be more on the podcast during the day when he has time, and we'll go over all the news stories that drop. And yeah, stay tuned. Also, I have for the Patreon members out there, I have a lot of leftover Japan swag, stickers, and pins. So if you want,
you say?
yep, pins. We made some pins. So if you want any of that, let me know. I got some new Star Wars stuff bubble wrap mailers. I can mail them out to you. Just tell me your updated mailing address or PO box or whatever you use, and I'll send those out to any of the Patreon members for free. So just let me know. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Another series in the books. I just want to thank all the hosts that we've had over the past 4 weeks, starting off with Colin, Craig, Ted, Kyle, and Kevin from the Fandom Podcast Network. Who am I missing? I think that's everyone, right?
I think that's everyone. Yeah. You are making this sound like we were doing this for months, but in reality, it was only 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Well, it's the end of Andor, and I just wanted to say kind of like our final farewells and
no, thank you to all the hosts. Thank you to all the hosts and everyone coming on. It's just funny to me because of we're so used to doing like weekly episodes, where it's just one episode, but we got 3 each week, so it's it flew by. It absolutely flew by.
Yeah, it was a lot. Tony Gilroy told us it was going to be a lot. It was going to be hard on podcasts, but yeah, we're awake right now. It's 1 a.m. for you guys. It's midnight for me. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone in chat. Hit like, subscribe, whatever you watch us on.
5-star
YouTube, Facebook,
review
Twitter,
on Apple,
please.
Instagram. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the comments, all the suggestions. We saw them all. Thank you so much. And I think that is it for Craig 5. Colin, my name is David, and may the force be with you.
Always.